query processing, and then storage layer. So here, I think someone has, let me mute everyone. See, here, each layer, the main advantage of Snowflake architecture is storage is separate, compute is separate, right? That's the key, differentiator. And then, like, since both storage layer and compute layer are separate, query processing are separate, each can be scaled independently. And even since charges are also like how Snowflake charges us, it will charge separately for storage and separately for compute, right? That way, like, we'll get advantage. Say a few clients, if they're using like, say, storage mode, they'll pay only for storage. If they're using like more like compute or query processing, right? If they're running a lot of queries, then in that case they'll pay only for compute, that way. So here, with respect to query processing, we'll use virtual warehouses, right? Virtual warehouse is nothing but cluster of compute nodes or compute machines, we can say. Here, we are saying it'll virtual warehouse will offer resources to execute a query, right? What kind of resources are, like CPU, memory, temporary storage, all these things. And this virtual warehouse is cluster. Cluster is nothing but group of machines connected together, that way. So here, the different sizes of virtual warehouses are from extra small to up to 4XL. It's already available in all clouds. That is, like, when we create a Snowflake account, we'll get an option to select which cloud we are going to say host this particular Snowflake account on, right? So say up to 4XL. So 4XL virtual warehouse size, it is available, generally available on all clouds. Say if you create Snowflake account in AWS, Azure, or GCP, in all clouds, up to 4XL it is available. Say if you see, since we created our Snowflake account in our, yeah, since we created it in AWS, right? If you go to virtual warehouses, we have seen with UA also, you can create a virtual warehouse, and also with SQL. So let me go here. Here we can select the warehouse size. By default, as I said, it will take Excel in UI. When you create it with worksheet, it is small, extra small, XS. Here it is extra large. This question you might get in certification point of view, Snowpro certification point of view. Okay. Let me now, if you go and select the virtual warehouse size, see, since we have created our Snowflake account in AWS, right? It is showing 5XL as well now already. Soon, like, even 6XL will also be available. Okay. Um, they are in preview state now. So after that, after the 6XL is available, it will have 6XL virtual warehouse size will have 512 compute node capacity. In a sense, if you select 6XL in order to run your queries, virtual warehouse of size 6XL to run your queries, it will get a compute capacity of 512 nodes, 512 machines. That way, that's what we discussed, right, in the last session. So, and then there are options, like, we can, while creating a virtual warehouse, we can create it as single cluster warehouse or multi-cluster warehouse, depending on minimum cluster count and maximum cluster count. Say you have set it to multi-cluster warehouse. In that case, we can distribute our workload across 5120 compute nodes once the 6XL is available. Even now, with this 4XL, since we have this 4XL is that is virtual warehouse size of 4XL is generally available, like, up to 10 clusters will be able to add, right? That way, up to 1280 compute machines. To that uh, uh, mm, capacity, we can scale our virtual warehouses. That is, we can distribute our workload across these many machines. Okay. Give me a second. Yeah. So even after creating a virtual warehouse, right, you can anytime alter it, you can resume it, you can suspend it. And we have options, right? If you see, let me complete these things. So what all things we covered in the last session, right? You can start and stop a warehouse anytime, as Snowflake storage and compute are decoupled. In the sense, since both are separate, usually, like if they are tied together, right? In the sense, both storage and compute are in single machine. In that case, what are the few things that, I mean, you can't turn off compute, right? Here, since both are separate, say as we discussed earlier, say in the weekends, no one is using any, I mean, compute. In that case, you can simply turn off that particular virtual warehouse, because we are able to do that because storage and compute are separate. Okay, that's another key advantage. We discussed this auto suspension, auto resumption, all these things. That is, by default, auto suspend is enabled, and what is the default time? 10 minutes. Okay, that is even if you are not specifying any, um, like auto suspend time. By default, it will be enabled, and then the default time is 10 minutes. That is, if you are not using your virtual warehouse for 10 minutes, then it will move into suspended state. From active, it will move into suspended state, or running, from running to suspended state. If you see now, all our warehouses are in suspended state. The reason is, for all the virtual warehouses that you create, right, auto suspend will be enabled by default, and then by default it take 10 minutes. Okay, you can reduce it, say, in ui you can reduce it to max up to 5 minutes, in the sense not less than 5 minutes. But if you create a virtual warehouse or alter a virtual warehouse using worksheet, that is with in SQL, that time you get an option to reduce it to, say, even 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes also. Okay, but you know, right, like how virtual warehouse or query processing is charged in Snowflake. It is for the first minute. I mean, it minimum it will be for a minute, and then after that it will be on second basis. Okay, we have seen that those examples as well. Okay, and then with respect to virtual warehouses, right, we have seen few scenarios in the last session. Say, I mean, we are running three queries, I mean, in sequence. That is, you have started executing. Now initially, if it is in I mean, when you like selected these queries and started running it, right, that time you are using extra small virtual warehouse size. In between, while the queries are running, while this first query started running, you change the warehouse size to large or extra large, any warehouse. Okay, that is, resize the warehouse. What will happen to the already running query? Okay, and what will happen to the queries that are waiting in queue or in sequence? Okay, for the first one to complete. So these kind of scenarios they'll ask you in interview as well as certification. Even in certification they'll ask this question. So what will happen to the already running query if you resize the warehouse? The old query which is already which already started running, right, and is in progress. So that will still use the old warehouse size. Okay, that is first time. I mean, when I ran this query, right, here we get an option to select which virtual warehouse, right? On fly, we'll be able to change the warehouse size. On fly, in the sense, instantly. Instantly, you can resize the warehouse from between any of these things. Okay, now it is extra small. Anytime I can resize it to, say, large, or I mean, to any warehouse size. Okay, let me select it to as XL. Okay, extra large. Now let me, so in this case, already if this query, whichever query is already running, right, so it will still take the old warehouse size. Okay, and the queries which are waiting in queue are in sequence, right? So the second once this first query gets completed, the second and third will, I mean, second one will start. Once second completes, third will start. They will run in sequence, right? That way, like this, the first query, it will still use the old warehouse size. The other queries which are waiting in queue, they will use resized warehouse size. That is either increased or decreased. Okay, resizing is nothing but increasing or decreasing the warehouse size. Okay, so now with respect to this, there were some of interview questions with respect to scaling. That is, see, scaling with respect to virtual warehouses is two types. One is scale out and scale up. That is, if you are vertically scaling it, say right now you are your warehouse size is extra small. You have increased it to XL. So this is scaling up. Increasing the warehouse size is nothing but scale up or vertical scaling. Okay, vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling is adding clusters of same size. Up to 10 clusters we can add maximum. So this is horizontal scaling. Okay, so the scale up, that is increasing the warehouse size, is manual process. Even see, you can increase the warehouse size and decrease the warehouse size as well. Okay, increasing the warehouse size is called scale up. Okay, scale up. So in interview they'll ask you what is scale up, what is scale out, what is scale down, scale up, scale in, this way. Okay, most of the times they'll ask what is scale up and scale out. Scale up is nothing but increasing the warehouse size. Okay, for example, say small to large, medium to XL, from lower warehouse size to higher warehouse size. If you are increasing the warehouse size, we call it scale up. Okay, and then scale down. Scale down is nothing but reducing the warehouse size. Okay, that is say from large to small, or medium to small. So from larger warehouse size to a smaller warehouse size. If you are reducing the warehouse size, we call it scale down. It is opposite of scale up. Scale up means increasing the warehouse size. Scale down means reducing the warehouse size. You got it right? So resizing the warehouse is nothing but either increasing the warehouse size or decreasing the warehouse size. If it is increasing, it is scale up. Decreasing, it is scale down. Scale up and down are is a manual process. It is not automated. So Snowflake won't increase the warehouse size or decrease the warehouse size. We'll have to manually do that. Okay. This is another important question with respect to interview and certification as well. So scale up and down are manual process. That is, Snowflake itself will not be increasing the warehouse size or decreasing the warehouse size. You can, based on your query complexity, you can select the warehouse size. And even while queries are being executed, right? When the queries are in progress, even then, like, you'll be able to resize, that is increase or decrease the warehouse size. Okay. So while the queries are getting executed, if you change the warehouse size, how it will impact the existing queries? I mean, already running queries or the queries that are waiting in queue. That will be the question. That's why we covered this scenario. So already running queries, right? So they will still use the old warehouse size. The queries which are waiting in queue, they will use the resized warehouse size, either increased or decreased. Got it? Is it clear, guys? Hello?
Yes, Hitesh.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is
Yeah,
clear.
it is.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you are unable to understand, you can raise it, like whatever we are discussing, right? If you have any doubts, in the sense with respect to the what I'm saying, if you are not able to follow, you can uh, raise it. We can discuss again or get it clarified. Okay, that is one thing. And then this is about like scale up, that is vertical scaling. Okay, that is in order to, yeah. So when you will go with scale up is, say, your query is very complex. Okay, you are trying to read large volumes of data. One table has got, say, 1 TB of data, and then you are using extra small size. And apart from just doing select star, you are doing some aggregations, that is max, min, average, and some more logic, complex logic is involved in your SQL statement. In that case, if the query performance will is kind of, it is your query is taking a lot of time. In that case, if your query is complex, then in that case, if you increase the warehouse size, right, it will help you. Okay, that is if your query is complex and data volume is more, your query is taking a lot of time. In that case, we'll go with scale up. Okay, we'll see like what is scale out and how it will help. Okay, scaling out is nothing but horizontal scaling. In the sense, say, instead of increasing the warehouse size, what we'll do, we'll add the clusters of same size. Up to 10 clusters we can add it this way. I already showed you, right? Let me show this particular stuff. So if you go to the warehouses, virtual warehouses. So here, that day I showed you creating multi-cluster warehouse. Okay, let me show that. Even after creating a warehouse, right? Anytime you can alter it. You can alter it with the worksheet or with even in the UI. If you want to say alter this particular multi-cluster warehouse. Okay, multi-cluster warehouse. In that case, you can configure it. Okay, if you click on this configure, it will give you options to change the configuration of this particular virtual warehouse. Say now, here we get an option maximum clusters and minimum clusters. Okay, if you are setting it as the maximum clusters as 1, right? You see, like the minimum clusters has gone. This is single cluster warehouse. Okay, if you are specifying the maximum clusters as 1, that means it has only when it is single cluster warehouse. It will not be multi cluster one. Say you are giving it the maximum clusters greater than 1. Okay, greater than 1, we call it multi-cluster warehouse. And here this particular option, that is minimum cluster is 1, maximum cluster is 2. If minimum clusters maximum cluster count, we can say, okay, maximum clusters are greater than minimum clusters, we call it auto scale mode. Okay, that is this particular virtual warehouse is in auto scale mode. In a sense, I'll explain you what is auto scale. Okay, what now, say what I'll do is I'll make it as 10. Earlier also it was 10, right? You can your maximum cluster count, you can keep it any number between 1 to 10. So if it is multi-cluster, it should be greater than 1. Okay, that is one thing. So in between, between any of these numbers up to 10, maximum 10 clusters. Okay, so let me take it as 10 clusters itself. Okay, and then finish it. So now I have shown this particular example. What will happen in this case if you create a multi-cluster warehouse, right? That is as I said, your maximum cluster count 10 is greater than minimum cluster count, right? This particular, I mean, if you are giving the maximum cluster count greater than minimum cluster count, we call this virtual warehouse. I mean, it will be in auto scale mode. What is auto scale mode is? Let me explain you. That day we already showed this particular thing, right? That is, say at 9 a.m. Where is it? Give me a second. Sorry. I think it is there in this worksheet. Yeah. So I told you, right, every day when between 10 to 11 a.m. The queries, a lot of users will try to use Snowflake and they'll run like multiple queries. Say one cluster has capacity of handling 100 queries, okay, at one point of time. So at 9 a.m. it is we just have 100 queries. So now if you set to auto scale mode, that is minimum cluster count is 1 and maximum cluster count as 10. Okay, suppose you take minimum cluster count, we have given it as 1, and then equal to 1 and maximum cluster count as, there will be a lot of scenarios on this that is auto scale mode. They'll ask you, they'll try to check your knowledge of on this particular things, how good you are with respect to this behavior of virtual warehouses, how it will behave in case of auto scale mode, what is maximized mode. So those kind of questions they'll try to ask. That's why we are trying to dig in detail. So now say I have given minimum cluster count as 1 and maximum cluster count as 10. Okay, whenever they'll ask you, how will you set your warehouse to auto scale mode? So you can say, while creating the warehouse, if we give maximum cluster count greater than minimum cluster count, okay, maximum cluster count greater than minimum cluster count in cluster count. So this particular that is, if your warehouse has maximum cluster count greater than minimum cluster count, we call it auto scale mode. Okay, auto scale mode implies it is auto scale mode in the sense. Okay, mode. So what will happen in auto scale mode is whenever as soon as your cluster is active, say you now it is in I mean suspended state. Okay, that is if you go to warehouses, since none of the queries are using this warehouse, it is in suspended state. Now if you start running a query, okay, as soon as you start running a query, it will become active, it will come into running state, and then like it will start with one cluster. Okay, we have given minimum cluster count as 1, maximum cluster count as 10. So in this case, initially as soon as the warehouse is active, virtual warehouse is active, it will start with one cluster. Okay, one cluster. And say at 9 a.m. you have 100 queries. One cluster is enough to like run your queries. Say after some time, number of users who started using Snowflake increased, and say at 10 a.m. between 10 to 11 a.m. Say around 10 a.m. 500 queries. I mean, many users try to log in, and then 500 queries are running, and each I'm giving you an example. This 100, in order to explain you, I have taken this example. It is not that way. Like this 100 round one cluster, some it's not that way. In order to make you understand, I'm picking this example. Say between 10 to 11 a.m., 500 queries are running. In that case, what will happen is Snowflake automatically adds one more cluster of same size. Okay, that is you have selected. We created this particular multi-cluster warehouse with size XS, right? With another, I mean, with same size, extra small size, it will add one more cluster. Okay, one more cluster in order to handle concurrency issues. Concurrency is nothing but parallelism. Okay, parallelly at one point of time, if multiple users try to log in, okay, try to log in and then run queries. Okay, in that case, in order to handle the concurrency issues, what Snowflake will do is, if you have set it in auto scale mode, based on your workload, okay, at specific time, say every day at few between some time, okay, the the Snowflake usage will reach peak, and many users start running queries. In that case, only during the peak times, okay, Snowflake will add additional clusters, okay, based on your workload. Say first it will start with one cluster. If some queries are waiting in queue, it will add another cluster. And if still after adding second cluster also, if there are queries waiting in queue, it will add third cluster, that way until none of your queries are in queue. It will try to add clusters, keep on adding clusters up to 10 clusters. It will add that way. Okay, based on your workload. Okay, say based on the queries that are being executed in your Snowflake account, right? Based on that, Snowflake will add up to maximum up to 10 clusters. Okay, once this is also important, the max it will go to up to 10 clusters. Okay, that is one thing. And if your queries workload goes down slowly, right, in that case, Snowflake will automatically remove those clusters. Okay, this we call it auto scale mode. Okay, auto scale mode, that is maximum cluster count greater than minimum cluster count. If this is the configuration of your virtual warehouse, we call it auto scale mode. There is another mode as well. Okay, what is that is, say now let me come here. While creating a virtual warehouse, okay, while creating a virtual warehouse, here now this is in auto scale mode. I wanted to change. There is another mode called maximize mode. What is maximize mode is, let me configure it, that is alter this virtual warehouse. Now I have selected maximum cluster count as 10, minimum cluster count as 1. Whenever you give maximum cluster count is equal to minimum cluster count, right? Say I'll give even the minimum cluster count as 5. So both maximum cluster count and minimum cluster count are same. It can be any number. Okay, if both maximum and minimum cluster count are same, we call it maximized mode. Okay, maximized mode. Okay, what will happen in this case? Let me finish this. In the sense, now I have set the minimum cluster count and maximum cluster count as same. What will happen in this case is, if you set it to auto scale mode, it will start with the minimum cluster count, say one cluster, and then keep on adding up to 10 clusters, that way. So you can give any number here. here in auto scale mode, your minimum cluster count should be maximum cluster count should be greater than minimum cluster count. That's it. Okay, it can be anything. Now here in our earlier case, what we gave the maximum cluster count as 10 and then minimum cluster count as 1. Okay, 10 greater than 1. It can be anything. Say 5. You can give maximum cluster count as 5 and minimum cluster count as 2. Okay, any number. So all these scenarios, say 3 greater than 2. All these things you call it auto scale mode. Okay, that is maximum cluster count greater than minimum cluster count. So what will happen here? I have given maximum cluster count as 3, minimum cluster count as 2. In this case, it will start with 2 clusters. Okay, and as soon as this warehouse is active, it will start with 2 clusters because minimum cluster count we have set it as 2. Okay, that way it works. These warehouses. This is auto scale mode. And another thing is maximum cluster count equal to minimum cluster count. Max cluster count. Let me pick the same thing. These are important, guys. Like many people in interview, if you ask them how will you set your warehouse to auto scale mode, what is auto scale mode, they'll not be able to explain. This is important with respect to virtual warehouses. So this is very auto scale mode, especially, right? Auto scale mode is very helpful because what it will do, Snowflake itself will automatically add clusters and remove clusters. This way, you will get performance in the sense none of your queries will be waiting in queue. They will get you will get performance benefit, and also as I said in yesterday's session, you'll pay only for how much time the additional clusters were active. Okay, say now 10 we have given one, the maximum cluster count 1, 10 and minimum cluster count 1, right? So in this case, as I said, it keeps on adding. So how much over time the additional clusters were active, right? That is, second cluster was active for say 5 minutes, third cluster was active for say 3 minutes. So you will be charged only for those many, only for the like 5 minutes, 3 minutes only. That is, your first cluster was active for say 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. Second cluster was active for 5 minutes. Third cluster was active for 3 minutes. In this case, you will be charged for 18 minutes in total. That is, in the sense, each cluster, say how it is charged based on the warehouse size, right? So one cluster, it will be charged for 10 minutes. Second cluster, it will be charged only for 5 minutes. Third cluster for 3 minutes. This way it will charge. It won't charge for all clusters. It won't charge for 10 minutes. That's what it is. This is also advantage, right? This way you'll pay, really you are going to pay for what you are using. Okay, real pay as you go model. Okay, this is another thing. And then the maximum cluster count is equal to minimum cluster count. We call it maximized mode. Okay, maximized mode. Maximized mode. What is maximized mode is, see, your your cluster, my bad, your warehouse will start with full capacity. That is 5 clusters. Now that is if I give maximum cluster count and minimum cluster count as 5 equal to 5, right? This is maximized mode. So what will happen in this case? Your warehouse will start with full capacity. Okay, for the entire duration of the warehouse. I mean, if it is active for say 10 minutes, for the entire 10 minutes, all your clusters will be active only. That is, it will start with full capacity. That's what we call maximize mode. Most of the times in real time, we'll use auto scale mode. Okay, maximize mode. Why you have to go with maximize mode? Okay, the like if auto scale, I mean, based on your workload, if it is able to serve Snowflake itself is able to add additional clusters, why you have to go with maximize mode, right? So, but in interview point of view, they'll ask what is auto scale mode, what is maximize mode. Okay, let me show. These things are already listed in our document as well. Okay, all these things will be available in our document, as well as I'll be sharing the interview questions and answers, right? There also you'll have these things. Okay, I have, I mean, attached the screenshot as well. Okay, what is auto scale mode, what is maximize mode for them. Say here in this case, maximum clusters, 2 greater than 1, right? We call it auto scale mode. If maximum clusters and minimum clusters are the same, we call it maximize mode. Okay, is it clear? And you know, like what will happen in case of auto scale mode and what will happen in case of maximize mode. So let me show those things. So in order to create a virtual warehouse, right? In order to create a virtual warehouse, right? You would require sysadmin role or account admin role greater than sysadmin. Okay. We'll be covering role-based access control tomorrow. That time we'll discuss in detail about the hierarchy of this roles, hierarchy of roles, how role-based access control work in Snowflake. Okay. I mean, see, even as a developer, you will face sometimes apart from other issues, right? You will face access issues also. So you should be, aware of how access control works in Snowflake, right? So tomorrow we'll cover. We'll start with role-based access control. Okay. Then you will get to know what is sysadmin, what is account admin, what are the different roles, what is the hierarchy, all these things. So for now, if you take, like, if you have to create a virtual warehouse, you would require sysadmin role or higher roles. Okay, that is sysadmin or account admin. Account admin is the highest role. Okay, in any like Snowflake account. Okay, we'll be discussing these things in detail tomorrow. So if you have to create a virtual warehouse, right, using SQL, that is in your worksheet, what is the syntax is create warehouse, warehouse name, okay, and then you can specify the size, warehouse size, either it is extra small, medium, large, and then maximum cluster count, okay, minimum cluster count. So if maximum cluster count is greater than minimum cluster count, we call it auto scale mode. Okay, they'll ask you in interview like how you will set a warehouse to auto scale mode. If maximum cluster count is greater than minimum cluster count, we call it auto scale mode. That's how we'll configure a warehouse to auto scale mode. Okay. In this case, what will happen? It will start with one cluster, depending on your workload. That is how many queries are running in your work, in your Snowflake account using this warehouse, and then what is it? Yeah, how many queries are running, and if they are waiting in queue, right, especially that case, it will add, Snowflake will automatically add clusters, okay, that of same size, that is with extra small warehouse size, it will add more clusters. Let me show you one image is there, you will get clarified with those things, what is auto scale mode. See here, if you see this particular thing, right, actual behavior of virtual warehouse, if you increase the warehouse size, that is, this is medium warehouse, virtual warehouse size, okay, it has 4 compute nodes, medium will have 4, large will have 8. Okay, that is, you are increasing the capacity of one virtual warehouse, okay, from medium to large. This is manual process, manual scale up. Increasing the warehouse size is scale up. Scale out is, let me show this. Now here, if you see, we have set a warehouse to multi-cluster as a multi-cluster warehouse with size medium warehouse size. Okay, now if you set it to auto scale mode, what will happen? Based on your workload, with the same warehouse size, it will add one more cluster. Okay, one more cluster. This is, let me show this. So this is scale out, this is scale up. Same warehouse size, you are increasing the size. This is scale up. Scale out is adding clusters. Okay, that is with the same warehouse size medium, another warehouse, another cluster is added. Okay, another cluster. This way, this is with two clusters. Say you have set it to 10 clusters, this way it will keep on adding based on your workload up to 10 clusters of same size. This is scale out. This is automated process. Snowflake will take care of this, adding clusters. But increasing or decreasing the warehouse size is manual process. Scale up and scale down. This is scale out. Scale in, the opposite of scale out is scale in, right? What is scale in is removing the clusters. Okay, Snowflake itself, if the number of queries that are being executed on top of your virtual warehouse goes down, it will remove clusters. Okay, Snowflake itself will remove clusters. We call this auto scale mode. Sorry, scale in, and this is automated process. Clear, right? Any doubts? Hello.
Yeah, Hitesh, clear.
Okay. No, fine. Like if you're confused or something, let me know. This is important in the sense if you understand scale up and scale out, like that is more than enough. With respect to virtual warehouses, they'll ask this kind of things: what is scale up? What is scale out? And then what is auto scale mode? How will set a warehouse to auto scale mode? Okay. What is maximize mode? So those kind of questions they'll ask. That's why we are trying to stress on these things. Okay, here also we have all the scenarios even in the document that is shared, right? We have I mean captured with screenshots, so that even if you go through the document whichever we are going to share, like that is more than enough for you even to revise in future. Okay. So here we have listed how it works: maximum cluster count, minimum cluster, whatever I explained, right? That explanation also is there here. Okay, that is it start with the minimum cluster, and then it'll keep on adding clusters up to max cluster count. It'll add, and then while creating a virtual warehouse, we have some more options. Scaling policy. Okay, policy. If you go here, let me show that. If you go to warehouses now, when you try to alter it or create a new warehouse, what will happen is it will show scaling policy. We have two types of scaling policies: standard and economy. Okay, what is standard and what is economy, I'll show you. Let me come here, document. In simple terms, right? In simple terms, your client is more concerned about cost. Okay, that is they wanted to save cost. In that case, they will select scaling policy as economy. What is economy is, what it will do is, see, if you have set a warehouse to auto scale mode, okay, auto scale mode, Snowflake, what it will do, as soon as any cluster, any queries are in queue, that is waiting in queue for resources, right? Like I hope like you are getting it. Resources in the sense, say, in order to run your queries, right? If you have to run any query, it would require processor, RAM, memory, these things, right? So if you, I mean, you have selected some warehouse size, and it is not able to run all the queries, which are when multiple users will try to run queries, right? If everyone are using same virtual warehouse, say one particular warehouse, okay, so if it has, you have selected medium warehouse size, so it will have some capability in the sense it can deal or it can handle, say, 100 queries or 50 queries. So other queries, so which are in queue, that is many users are trying to log in, and they were in queue. In that case, what will happen, in order to like provide resources, compute in the sense this additional processor, cpu, additional processor, ram, memory, right? So Snowflake itself will keep on adding clusters. Okay, that way your queries won't be waiting in queue. Okay, so there, how, see, it is adding clusters, right? Adding clusters is based on the scaling policy you select. Okay, the scaling policy you select. If you select the scaling policy as economy, what it will do is, Snowflake will first check, I mean, before adding a new cluster, it will first check whether, I mean, if it is going to add a new cluster, will it be busy for 6 minutes? Okay, at least 6 minutes. Okay, if it Snowflake internally, it'll if you select the scaling policy as economy, it will check this condition first. Okay, and that is whether if I'm adding a new cluster, will it be, I mean, used for 6 minutes? Okay, that is, will it be busy for 6 minutes? Okay, here that's what is listed, to keep the cluster busy for at least 6 minutes. Okay, cluster starts only if the estimates, okay, only if it estimates there is enough query load to keep the cluster busy for at least 6 minutes. Okay, that is, if it is if it is going to add a new cluster, it should be busy for at least 6 minutes, then only it will add a new cluster, or else it won't add. Okay, this is economy. Okay, scaling policy. Okay, economy scaling policy. Another one is standard. Standard is the default policy, in the sense, while creating, if even though if you're not specifying anything, right? So it will take standard as default policy, scaling policy. Here, performance is considered, is given priority. In the sense, what it will do is, as soon as Snowflake feels a few queries are in queue, that is even a single query is in queue, immediately Snowflake will add another cluster if you have selected the standard scaling policy. Okay, if you select economy, it will see whether if it is going to add a new cluster, the new cluster will be active for at least 6 minutes. Okay, active, not active, like it will be busy. It will be busy for at least 6 minutes. Then only it will add cluster. Standard, it won't check that condition. As soon as it feels a query is in queue, it will immediately start a new cluster or add a new cluster. Okay, clear on the scaling policy? Many people will get confused with this thing, but it is simple. Okay, that is while adding a new cluster, based on the scaling policy that you select, if it is standard, as soon as even if a single query is waiting in queue, it will add. Okay, it will add a new cluster immediately. It will add a new cluster, starts immediately. Okay, here performance is given preference or priority. Okay, so you don't, your client is not ready to compromise with performance. In that case, they will go with standard scaling policy. Okay, standard scaling policy. If your client is more concerned about cost, okay, they're fine with even if the performance gets degraded, in that case they'll go with economy. Okay, that's what it is. Clear? Here it is clearly listed. Standard favors starting additional warehouses. Okay, economy favors conserving credits, in the sense saving cost. Okay, economy, you know, right? Economy class, business class, that way. Standard, you can correlate with that. Economy means like it is they will give priority to cost. Okay, cost. If it will check condition, this condition, if it is going to add a new cluster, I mean it should be busy for at least 6 minutes, then only it will add a new cluster. Okay, this is economy. A standard is nothing but, here, as soon as, even if a single query is in queue, waiting in queue, Snowflake immediately adds a new cluster. Okay, clear? So those are some of the things with respect to virtual warehouses. Okay, so on actual behavior, see here I have listed the maximize mode. Okay, auto scale mode, all those details. Maximize mode and auto scale mode. We can provision warehouse, virtual warehouse in two different modes. One is auto scale mode, when maximum cluster count greater than minimum cluster count, right? At the time of warehouse creation, if we set maximum cluster count greater than minimum cluster count, we call it auto scale mode. Okay, as query load or concurrent users increase or decrease, the virtual warehouse automatically scales out or in respectively. Scale out is nothing but adding clusters. Scale in is removing clusters. So this is automated process. Okay, and then here this is the screenshot to set a warehouse to auto scale mode, maximum cluster count greater than minimum cluster count, and then maximize mode. Maximize mode is nothing but Snowflake starts all clusters so that maximum resources are available while the warehouse is running. In the sense, as soon as the warehouse starts, right, it will start with full capacity, that is 5 clusters. Okay, it won't add one by one, like in case of auto scale. Here it will start with full capacity. If you select if you give maximum cluster count and minimum cluster count as same. Okay, this is about virtual warehouses. So no one will go to this level, this depth. Okay, like even if they go in depth, you should be able to answer. That's why we are covering other scenarios as well. So we have some more things. Okay, they will ask whether can we is scale up is automated process or not. They will ask. Okay, this is not automated process, it is manual process. That is, increasing or decreasing the warehouse size is manual. Okay, scale out, that is adding clusters, is automated process. That is, if you set it to auto scale mode, based on your workload, it will automatically add clusters. Okay, and even it will remove clusters. if the query workload goes down. Okay, that is one thing. And then multi-cluster warehouses improve concurrency, in the sense, if you set your warehouse to auto scale mode, right, or multi-cluster, multiple clusters within a warehouse, so it will improve concurrency, in the sense it multiple queries will be able to execute at same point of time. Okay, here this is what, say you are using large warehouse size. Okay, for example, here why we have listed this thing is in order to show you what is difference between the scale up, that is increasing the warehouse size, and scale out, that is adding clusters. Adding clusters will help you to handle concurrency issues, in the sense it can distribute, all your queries will get distributed across multiple warehouses. Okay, this way, that is clusters. Okay, medium, two clusters, two queries it is able to run. Whereas large warehouse size, it is it will try to complete this query, first query faster, then it will take the second query, this way. Okay, this is to handle complex queries. Okay, if your scenario is complex query, okay, and it is extracting large volume of data, in that case we'll go with scale up. If it is concurrency issue, we'll go with scale out. Okay, parallel it has to execute multiple queries, in that case you will go with scale out. Okay, those things are listed here already. When you will go with scale up, when you will go with scale out, even in the interview questions that we are going to share, right, those queries will be there. What, when you will go with scale up, when you will go with scale out, all the details. Let me show that. What is auto scale mode, what is scale up, what is scale out, so all those things. How can we set a warehouse to auto scale mode? All the scenarios will be there, even in the interview questions that we are going to share. You can go through that. Okay, and then a query can be processed by more than one cluster at the same time. That is, one single query, can you distribute it to multiple clusters? Okay, this way, that is if it is multi-cluster warehouse. See, in the interview, right, they will try to confuse you. Okay, that's why we have shown all these things. But no, most of the times no one might go to this level with respect to virtual warehouses, but even if they go, you should be able to answer. Okay, that's why we have listed these scenarios. Say a query can be processed by more than one cluster at the same time. Okay, that is, in the sense, one single query can we distribute the query, that is, while running it, can we distribute that query workload into two clusters, okay, of same size, if it is in multi-cluster warehouse? No, we can't do that. It will be handled by only one cluster. Okay, that's why if your query is complex, if you set it to auto scale mode, that may not help you that much. If you increase the warehouse size, it will help. If you are facing concurrency issues, that's what is listed here. When you will go with scale up, increasing the size of virtual warehouse. What is scale up means? Increasing the warehouse size, and then to handle more complex queries, this particular option, scale up. And then scale out, using additional warehouses or multi-cluster warehouse. Okay, this is to handle concurrent users, parallel users, or queries. More concurrent users or queries. So even those scenarios are listed. What is concurrency? All those things are there in this document. You can go through. Let me show that. Here it is. Concurrency is executing two or more queries at a point of time, at the same time, in parallel by single or multiple users. Okay, this is what is concurrency. Is it clear? See, in interview with respect to virtual warehouses, what kind of questions they'll ask you are like, what is what is scale up, what is scale out, and then what is the default auto suspend time in for a virtual warehouse, and then when you will go with scale up, when you will go with scale out. Okay, those things. And like most of the time, those questions, what are scaling policies, what is maximize mode, what is auto scale mode. If they ask you scaling policy, you can say standard economy. In standard, it will give priority to performance. As soon as a query is in queue, it will immediately add a new cluster. Okay, whereas economy, it will check whether if it is going to add a new cluster, will it be busy for at least 6 minutes? Then only it will add. So if you can explain these things, it is more than enough. So all these questions you will get it in the entry questions and answers, whichever we are sharing, right? Even in that document, you will get all the details. You can go through that. If anyone has any questions, we can take. We just have 5 minutes, right?
Hitesh, the scaling policy, where will come that the settings are like while creating that account or
Yes. While creating the warehouse, these are warehouse settings, right? Not account. Let me show you. I already showed that as well. Let me show again. Now, if you go to this virtual warehouse, right? Here you get scaling policy, standard or economy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
You will get all these options. That's why, like, see, apart from just listening the session, right? If you just spare 10-15 minutes to practice in the sense, you can just go to the, at least go to this UI and try to create this. In the sense, there you will get all these options, right? Then it'll be in your mind forever. You'll be able to remember it for longer time.
Yeah.
There is a scaling policy. Okay. Any other questions?
Hitesh, Hitesh Bhargavi, I have a doubt.
Hey, hi,
So
Bhargav,
this scaling, configurations, right? So this can only be done when we are creating the warehouse or a cluster, or this can be changed at any point of time.
we can alter warehouse even after creating any time. That is either through UI or even through SQL code. Let me show that. We already have that code as well. I can try that out. Let me show this thing. Cancel this. Here also you can change. This is already created, right? If you click on this and configure, you can change these options here. Okay, and or else you can go to worksheet. You can go to worksheet and you can alter a warehouse. Let me show that. See, alter warehouse name, set warehouse size. All these parameters can be altered even after creating it.
Okay, all right.
It is not like while creating itself, you'll have to take care. You can alter it anytime.
Okay, all right. That clarifies. Thanks.
Any other questions? Everyone are able to understand what is these things. So apart from this, you won't get even a single question. You should understand that concept, like what is scale up, scale out, auto scale, maximized, scaling policy. These are important. Yeah, Mani.
Actually, while you are going with the scale up and scale down, who will decide, like in a project, as per the directions you will do, or as per the performance you will go the scale out and scale up?
Okay. You are asking about who will decide whether to go with scale up, scale down, right?
Yeah.
That depends on say you wanted to deliver a report, say within 10-15 minutes. Okay. That is, your job should complete in 10-15 minutes. So if it is taking longer duration, if you increase the warehouse size, it'll complete faster. So that way you will take decision. It is not see.
No, I'm asking that we don't have permission to increase the.
We can increase and decrease the warehouse size. Or like in the sense, if you have in lower environments, at least we can do that. In production, if you don't have, like we'll have control. Resizing the warehouse, right? You can do it in your stored proc also. In your stored proc also, you can set some logic. Say if it is exceeding this much time, say my procedure, which usually trying to complete in 10 minutes. Today it took 20 minutes. Slowly it is increasing. The time is increasing because backend, like the data volume has gone up or with some reason. So in that case, what you will do is you will maintain log tables. Okay, there you will have log. Usually, what time it is getting completed. It will compare and it will take the average time duration. It is taking to complete that stored proc. If it is slowly going up, you can create a stored proc which will check this, and based on that, it will automatically increase your warehouse size. So that also we can do it manually ourselves. Okay, that is in our control. In case if some due to some issue, it is taking a lot of time. your management has asked to increase the warehouse size. In that case, you will ask your DBA team. That is, you will raise a request to your DBA, Snowflake DBA. That guy will increase the warehouse size. That's how it works.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but usually this scenario in real time you may not face, but you should aware of these concepts. What is auto scale, scale up, scale out? As a developer, you won't be doing this stuff most of the times.
Okay.
Hmm. But in interview, for sure, they'll ask these things in order to check your knowledge of virtual
Okay.
warehouse, how it works, all these things. Yeah.
I mean, last week we are facing the performance issue. Actually, we are increased the warehouse, then performance got fixed actually. So the admin
Correct,
is taken care for prod side, but the development side, yeah. Those things.
Hmm. Karthik, for your information, Karthik is already using Snowflake in his
Yeah.
project. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
why
1 year I was using it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, Suresh.
Yeah, it's like turning off means it is the option like auto suspend only, right? Why? Because we are planning to suspend. Means weekend we don't use mission. Mean then we, instead of the turning means we can set the option auto suspend that will take care of these things, right? Turn off all the things, right?
You mean, okay, that is different. Auto suspend is different. This auto scaling is different. Okay, here
No.
it is adding additional clusters. Okay.
Okay.
So your one cluster, one virtual warehouse cluster is not able to deal with multiple. I mean, it is not able to run multiple queries. It will have some limit, right? Say it can handle this many queries, something like that. So beyond that, if it will not be able to execute all those other queries. In that case, if few queries will go into queue, right? Usually in
Mm-hmm.
relational databases also, if a lot of queries are
Yeah.
getting executed, few queries will be waiting in queue for resources, right?
Correct.
For the already running queries to get completed. Same here. In this case here, if you set it to auto scale mode, I mean, if you select the standard economic scaling policy, right? Even if a single query I mean, if Snowflake finds even if a single query is waiting in queue, right? In that case, it will add additional clusters. Snowflake itself will automatically add one more cluster. That way, it deals this concurrency issue parallelly if multiple users are trying to run queries. So it will be handled this way. Okay.
No, I mean to say turn off option means turn off the computer resource means it is the option like auto suspend only, right?
Yeah. Turn off is auto suspend. Yes.
Yeah, that's I I need that information. Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Turning off warehouses auto suspend. Yes. Or else you can manually also suspend if you need. If you
Okay,
go
okay.
to even you can manually suspend it in two ways. If you go to browser, that is here virtual warehouses, if you click on this particular warehouse, you'll get option suspend, resume. Now it is in suspended state, so resume is enabled. So if it is a resume, let me resume it. Say I'll resume this default warehouse. Resume. Now you will get option to suspend. Okay, this is one way, resuming and suspending. Or else if you come to worksheet, so we already shared the script how we'll suspend, how will resume warehouse with using in your worksheet. Let me show that. See, alter warehouse resume. Okay, alter warehouse name suspend. If you give, it will suspend the warehouse. I think there's this. Let me search. Here it is. See, alter warehouse name, and then suspend. This will suspend your warehouse. Alter warehouse name, resume. This will resume your warehouse. Okay, manually if you wanted to do. Okay.
Okay.
Let me stop the recording. If anyone has any questions, we can discuss. I'll be there for some more time. Others can drop off. Thank you.